The following story contains curse words and depictions of violence. Listener discretion is advised. The date, previously written in 2015. Marcus was speaking to a hood chick, trying to balance his perception of her perception of him. He unveiled his baser primal manhood through story, thus simultaneously proving and disproving his point. The words painted pictures of him as an aggressor, but there was no proof that anything in his life had ever occurred. He told her how he choked the manager at Play Here, Drink Here, a gaming-themed bar, because the guy made his ex-girlfriend cry. He did leave out the fact that the same manager had him pinned to the ground so fast that it felt like his life had skipped a scene. He let her know that he almost killed a man because he called that same ex-girlfriend a bitch. He left out the fact that that man was more boy than man, late teens, early 20s, something like that. And this again is where the brushstrokes of his story paint him as manly and inauthentic at the same time. Both of these things happened, but both were premeditated. He planned to fight the boy in the afternoon, so in the morning he switched from glasses to his contacts. He had to go looking for the manager at Play Here while his ex-girlfriend was weeping. He even had time to finish his beer while deciding on what to do before setting his glass down and attacking him. Both of these situations resulted because, like now, Marcus was trying to prove his manliness and his blackness to a black woman. Candy was the cashier at his job. Whenever he got lunch, he would linger and they would converse. He was pretty sure it wasn't your typical flirtatious professionalism that he had seen with strippers and bartenders, because she would always tell him to hold on a second when she had to take care of a customer, and she would return to him immediately afterward. Still, this could be misinterpreted. That's why the following is always a shot in the dark, but a shot one must take for life to go on. We should kick it after work, he mumbled to her, almost dismissing this, running his mouth in a volley of words before she had a chance to reject him. But she verbally chased him down, and the falsetto in her answer was music to his ears. And just like that, a few hours later, he was driving on Washington Avenue, which, mind you, is something he promised himself that he would never do, on a night he promised he would never do it on if he did break his first promise. But the street was gridlocked, with yellow and red sports cars hovering on pounding bass and glowing lights like pretentious spaceships jerking forward at random moments. The sidewalk and street held fleshy, inebriated souls darting between people and cars. Everything was moving unpredictably. It had Marcus's anxiety going crazy. Or maybe it was just the music. He turned off Kendrick Lamar's album and threw on a Disney playlist, singing along to one of the greatest songs ever made. Even though it was sung by a Jewish chick voicing a Native American, the message was still timeless. He looked to the address he was given on the other side of the street and noticed Candy's ass bulging beneath a tight pencil dress before he even parked. At first, he didn't think it was her. He still had to get used to the fact that he was in a position where he could have good things. And if it was her, where did she get that ass from? Did she stop somewhere to pick it up? Were they on sale at Kmart? Or was this something she always had with her, hidden beneath the unflattering pants of her work uniform? He felt a little bit of pride and took a small amount of ownership of something so enticing connected to someone who was waiting for him, and only him to his knowledge. She stood under a glowing neon logo as she looked through the window with her phone to her ear. She still looked confident, but not as confident as she did at work. Her neck snaked this way and that as she stood on her tippy toes trying to peek around the people inside. For a moment, she was incomplete without him. He ignored the buzzing phone as he got out of his car, planning instead to grab her by the attention. Dodging traffic and people, he stared at her intensely, like sight was something tangible, until she actually felt his gaze and turned to him with a smile, hanging up the phone. One step on the sidewalk and he was connected to Washington Avenue and all it entailed. The disturbing smell of piss in paradise, the residual odor left behind by bums who use the entranceways of restaurants as their bedrooms. Million and billionaires descending through hell holding plastic wives on their way to the nightclubs with astronomical entry fees. This place where the devil vacations and celebrities play was only 2 streets away from the sands of Miami Beach. and it was nothing like the movies and TV shows that Marcus grew up watching in Pittsburgh. "Hey," she said, happy, so happy to see him. She hugged him and her head barely made it above his chest. And this hug was the most physical contact they had ever had. Marcus tried to remember. Had they ever touched before tonight? No, not even a handshake. And this was a hug, a symbol of an agreement that this was a social meeting with undefined terms and loose interpretations. As he snuck a look into the burger joint crowded with questionable human beings, he felt his heart pump vigorously a few times as he mentally prepared himself, like that one time he had to walk into prison on a misdemeanor. He stopped smiling. He straightened his back. He opened the door for her, to be polite, but to also pause at the entrance and analyze the scene. She had picked out the spot because he had never been there, so she wanted to show him something new. And this place was famous for its burgers. And that's why the hood showed up. People wish to be in the presence of things that are touched by celebrity, and this was the same environment that J&B had graced, which was captured by a photo of the power couple on the wall. The night and time that everybody met here was due to a funnel system that started with a traditional work week, continued through a few nightclubs that were only open at certain times and ended here, and a few other late night spots where people could wind down as well as get a jump on replenishing nutrients that were lost throughout the night. They both stepped in and they were immediately in the long line. To the left, near a mirror that spread the entire length of the wall, urban women replayed confrontations from earlier in the night. The bar stools held lost souls slumped over their beers, dreaming, sleeping, or awake, but drifting in a space that they would barely remember tomorrow. Above, in between, and around them, niggas that already ordered squeezed in like fangirls at a concert, shouting their directions and stipulations to a black cook who nodded his head as he kept in constant motion, sweating his glasses to the edge of his nose, trying to pair the different stipulations to each of the myriad of sizzling meats on the grill. "Did you hear about that little boy in Disney World?" she asked him. "No, what happened?" "Okay, I guess they were at a beach outside of the hotel they were staying at. The mom and dad were like, just laying out, and this little 2-year-old, while she was telling her story, troublemakers entered the small eatery like they were the definition of the shit. They were the loudest and most obnoxious, and this was above the already noisy and irritating crowd that surrounded them. Everybody looked their way except for Marcus and Candy. They stood out like a hitchhiker without a thumb as Marcus stared deep into her eyes trying to tune out the commotion, making him the most noticeable because he was purposely ignoring the focal point with such fervor that the act itself was all but aggressive. And an alligator grabbed him. Once she was done speaking, she looked back as well, turning into a pillar of salt. "Shit, really?" Marcus said, focusing all of his attention on her. "That's fucking crazy." The ringleader of the prejudged troublemakers bumped into Marcus like a slow-moving glacier as he passed the line to greet a calmer friend. Marcus was 5'8", which was slightly shorter than average, but monsters like this made him think scales used to measure didn't matter. After they exchanged pleasantries, the ringleader slipped into the front of the line. Excuse me?" Candy said, snaking her neck, tilting her head while cocking it back like an offended cobra. Marcus had seen this once before at work when she was telling him the story of how she let off 2 shots at a girl who was talking to her boyfriend a little too long. Even though nobody else in the restaurant said anything, she projected as if without a filter. The ringleader knew he was wrong. Everybody in front of her turned back except for him. He purposely ignored her, as Marcus had done upon his entering, and being ignored was a bigger insult than him skipping the line. She stormed toward him. "Hey!" He turned to her, amused. "What's up, shorty?" he said through a gold grill inside of a lackadaisical jaw. "You can't just jip everybody in line. What, you think you more important?" "Aw, I ain't jipping nobody. Look," he said, grabbing his calmer fellow. "This is my homeboy. He was saving my place." "Nigga, this ain't a seat at the bar." Watching her lean into him, flapping her wings, and watching him lean back slightly as if a bee were hovering in the air, Marcus felt envious of the emotion the ringleader had caused. The aggression was more passionate than a hug. This was probably the actual reason he had gotten into that fight with the Play Here manager some time ago. He made his ex cry, and at that time Marcus hadn't even made her cry. Come to think of it, that's probably why he got into the fight with that boy. He had got his ex so riled up, and Marcus had never caused a reaction like that with her. She gave other men control over her emotions while the relationship stayed smooth and uneventful. That's why Marcus went off those other 2 times. But not tonight. Nope, he had learned his lesson. Candy was furious. She returned to her spot in line as the 2 exchanged fuck yous that turned into fuck you bitches, while Marcus and everybody else in line did nothing except watch. Even his goons were nestled in the back without balls enough to do what the ringleader did. And now, unfortunately, her smile was gone. He thought about the story she told about the alligator or something. Maybe he could revisit that to change the subject. But she did not seem like she was in the mood anymore. Maybe he could bring up the colleague that they always tease. No, that would just amplify the fact that he was trying to avoid reality. All he could do was secretly watch her as she shot eye darts at her new enemy as he ordered the baby's fade with blue cheese and pepper jack, tomato and sauteed onion, egg sunny side up and a wrap well done. I mean, burnt nigga, leave that shit out in the grill until the Clippers win the finals, huh? She kept staring until the ringleader noticed, stepping past Marcus and Candy and locking eyes with her on the way back to his cronies. Marcus stared too, but he stared straight forward, fortunate that they could still return from this point. "Hey dog," the ringleader said, nudging Marcus with the back of his wrist. "You better control your bitch." Fuck. Candy's mouth dropped at the audacity almost simultaneously with her movements as she reached into her purse. Marcus grabbed her hand and refused to let her pull out America's Greatest Love. They couldn't come back from this point, but going forward, nobody had to end their lives through death or jail. Whoa. Chill. Marcus pleaded with her. Just hold on, okay? He narrowed his eyes and began turning on his pivot. He sped up and balled his fingers and thumb into a fist as he projected it toward the ringleader's face. But if you don't mind, I'd like to pause this scene. If we could stop everything, leaving Marcus's fist a millimeter away from the ringleader's clenched jaw as Candy holds tight to her metal life ender, still concealed by her purse. You know, the people in the line looking on, not yet reacting to what's happening because their minds haven't registered it yet. We can even stop that burger patty in midair as the cook raises his arm with the spatula. If we could just focus on the ringleader for a quick sec, that'd be great, because he is an integral part of the story. The ringleader, Alan, he's a hustler, has been all his life. When he was 8, he sold homemade ices and styrofoam cups in front of his house in the hood. At 12, he would buy whole boxes of candy, then sell to individual bars at school for a profit. And as a teen, he participated in some light B&E and robberies. In his 20s, a friend of his procured a nice settlement when she baited a Walmart employee and got her to throw the first punch, which was caught on camera. And that brings us to the burger joint. This is the same burger joint where Alan worked on weekdays. The same rowdy burger joint that he knew where every security camera was and what section of the diner they pointed to. He had his weekends off, so in between selling some light narcotics on Ocean Avenue, he would enter the diner to get his free discount, and while he was there, he would choose a target and taunt them, trying to get them to make the first move. But before tonight, nobody had taken the bait. And that's why the ringleader, Alan, was purposely bracing for the impact of Marcus's fist. Okay, now we can continue. We'll let the flipping burger patty land on the spatula. We'll let Candy keep her grip on the hidden weapon, and we'll let Marcus land the punch on the clenching ringleader, knocking his head back into the direction of the camera. He smiled through his golden fangs at the payday and the fact that he can now legally retaliate. Marcus's victory would be fleeting, although he did prove his blackness, if there is such a thing, and his toughness. He wouldn't get to take a bite out of Candy's unclothed ass because after getting mollywopped by Alan, he would spend the rest of the night in handcuffs. And after all of the charges, it turns out that this one date would cost him for years to come. Thanks for listening to the story. I want to take a moment here to thank all the people who designed the resources that I used to record and publish these stories. One of the reasons I struggled to get my work out there in the past was the lack of available platforms. Now, thanks to hosting sites like Buzzsprout and directories such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and Audible, to name a few, I can finally bring my original work to the public. I also want to extend my gratitude to the team at Audacity for providing an open source tool that is accessible to everyone. I'm grateful for platforms like Pixabay, which offer royalty-free music, sound effects, stock images, and footage. And a special thanks to the brilliant minds behind ChatGPT and Leonardo AI. With these tools, I hope to create something that not only entertains and educates, but in time provides employments for others as well.